also has a lot of commonality. I was thinking about this last night in watching this disastrous turnout for both Biden and Elizabeth Warren. These guys, listen, here's what they're going to need to do. Depending on what happens in the next couple of weeks with Nevada and South Carolina, Biden and Warren are going to have to drop out. And then they're going to have to decide who's the most viable between Buttigieg and Klobuchar to take on Bernie. That's all they got left. That's really their last hand, it seems to me, as I try to break this thing down and analyze this. But you know who also has commonality? Pete Buttigieg and Barack Obama. I think there haven't been very many similarities raised about the two candidates, the two candidacies of these two men. Both transformative figures. First African-American president. For Pete Buttigieg, obviously the first openly gay presidential candidate. That's, all new territory, breaking new ground, a very transformative candidacy. Both kind of wonkish, They're not real super passionate. Tucker Carlson did a riff on Buttigieg the other night where he just ripped him as being a hologram. He's so boring and he's so dry, but he's wonkish. He's kind of a wonkish guy that nerdy, and recites a lot of facts and kind of robotic, and he does his thing. And, frankly, it reminds me a lot of Obama. Now, can a mayor from South Bend, Indiana, become president of the United States with that level of experience? Well, there's an easy answer. Go look at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue's occupant right now. Donald Trump was never city commissioner. He wasn't the weekend, dog catcher in South Bend. He had zero political experience. Of course, a mayor of South Bend could become president. Trump just demonstrated that anybody can be president if they've got the right message and they've got the right formula and they've got the charisma and they've got the communication skills and they've got that it factor. And Trump very definitely does. They winnowed the field a little bit. Andrew Yang and Michael Bennet dropped out yesterday. I barely knew Michael Bennet was in it. But Andrew Yang, I liked him. I kind of liked Andrew Yang. He was kind of a guy that, he was extremely likable. And see, don't underestimate likability factor. Likability factor does matter. What people have never figured out who hate Trump is that the people who love Trump really love him. I mean, they genuinely like his humor, his fighting instincts, his success as a businessman. They like his personality. I mean, I've been with him personally. A lot of people who have seen him publicly know how funny he is. You ought to see how funny he is in person. He's 10 times funnier in person than he is on stage. There is a likability factor that Trump haters have never figured out. Is Bernie Sanders likable? An angry man yelling at you from the pulpit all the time, standing there at the podium with his hair all sticking up? He reminds me of the cranky old man on the corner who's, when the kids' wiffle balls would go into the yard, he kept the wiffle balls. He wouldn't return the balls because he's angry and grumpy. He's a grumpy old man who's a radical socialist. I mean, Green New Deal? Check. Open borders? Check. Medicare for all? Check. I always wonder about things like the insurance industry. He would abolish the entire insurance industry. What happens to the thousands, I don't know, maybe millions of people who work in the insurance industry? Oh, well, tough tamales. You're out. You're out. So bring him on. Bring him on. Yes, Bernie has a lot of support. I'm not underestimating that by any stretch of the imagination. I can assure you that his support is real. But number one, he did not overperform in New Hampshire last night, which is bad news for Bernie Sanders. He should have run the table. He's from neighboring Vermont. He is a Northeasterner. He should have done extremely well. He almost got beat by a small town mayor. who's looks like he's 16 years old, and he's on his first Boy Scout outing. I watched him last night. I thought, man, is it possible that Americans could vote for this guy? Frankly, I'd say this kid for president. He looks like he's in junior high. I mean, there is also something to the idea of looking presidential.